Hello everyone, my name is John Bussard. I'm an HPE Business Transformation Center engineer for Ingram. I help support HP servers, blade system storage, as well as Aruba networking technology solutions. In my videos, what I like to do is show you a slide from a popular PowerPoint and then demonstrate to you what that means within a management context. Today we're going to continue on our discussion with HPE's block storage based on Alletra MP, or what we're now calling a B10000 based system. So B is for block. There are certainly other solutions with the Alletra MP. MP stands for multiple protocols, so there's certainly a file-based solution as well as an object-based solution. But what I really want to talk about with this block-based solution is the simplified management. Now, your main management interface into this environment is going to be within the cloud-based data services cloud console. Right, you're going to find your most robust experience within that environment. But there is a local management interface as well as a CLI, but really the most features and functionality and the ease of use is going to be found up within the data services cloud console. So with all that being said, let's explore this management context. All right, here we are up within the GreenLake platform. So I know a lot of people know GreenLake as a consumption model or get on-prem hardware and pay for what you utilize on a monthly basis. But what I'll say is really GreenLake is much more than that. If you look at the cloud as being an experience and less of a destination, HP is trying to bring that experience to on-prem hardware. So certainly things like Compute Ops here will allow you to manage on-prem client servers, or Essential allows you to do on-prem HP networking solutions, and data services or data services cloud console that allows us to be able to manage on-prem HP storage solutions. So HP is the only vendor that I know of that can manage a cross stack like this, as well as give you some other features. Now again, you don't have to subscribe to the consumption model to get a hold of these management consoles. As a matter of fact, what I'll be showing you today within our environment, it was a CapEx purchase, so we purchased it outright, but we still get access to this management interface. So let me launch data services, or what they call the data services cloud console. Now all these tiles are different solutions that exist. Now what I will say is that when you get an Alletra MP based on the solution, you can access to certain types of tiles. So for example, everyone's going to get access to Data Ops Manager, and that's for managing at an array level. Right, so if I needed to change an iSCSI IP address, if I needed to change a time server or DNS server, things like that at an array level, that would be Data Ops Manager. Now these other tiles, block storage, file storage, and object storage, will be dependent on which Alletra MP that I get. So block storage will be for managing volumes on, for example, a B10000, but actually any of the Alletra storage systems could be managed with this block storage piece. All right, so in that case, I get access to Data Ops Manager as well as block storage. Now, our solution is a DHCI solution, and if you don't know what DHCI is, that's disaggregated hyperconverged. So it's a hyperconverged solutions with all the value and none of the limitations, but it doesn't rely on software-defined storage. It actually relies on a physical array. All right, so our Alletra MP is integrated into a DHCI solution, so we also get Private Cloud Business Edition. So as a matter of fact, a lot of times you'll see the marketing material come out and describe DHCI as Private Cloud Business Edition, because this is another management tile that allows me to manage my environment. I'm going to save this for another video. I really want to focus in on the block-based management of this solution and Data Ops Manager as well as block storage. All right, so let me launch Data Ops Manager. All right, so up here we can see the systems that I'm managing, volumes, hosts. I don't have the other solutions, file-based or a object storage, so I don't have any of that. But if I scroll down, we're going to get great information as far as capacity as well as performance in your environment. One thing that we'll see here is I'm managing different arrays. Right, we can see that here as well. Alletra MP, there's a Primera, Alletra DHCI, Nimble system here. Right, so let's talk about that a little bit. So this is a unified experience for all of HP storage in this platform. Some people will say that the Alletra MP lives off the history of the 3-PAR based storage that HP acquired many years ago. And I'm not necessarily going to argue that. I will say there has been significant architectural changes to the environment. But if we look at the local management context based on some of the other solutions like an Alletra 9000 or even a Primera-based solution, we're going to see a similar local management interface. So let's take a look. All right, so there's our Alletra MP local management interface, and here's our Primera. As well as the Alletra 9000 will all have this view. So that's, I'd say, one side of the HP storage solutions that are out there. There's also the history of Nimble as well. And we have that within this Alletra 6000 based system, as well as this Nimble AF40 right here. And that local management interface looks like this. So that's completely different than this. But one of the nice things about the GreenLake Cloud Consoles, or the Data Services Cloud Console, is I manage all these systems through a unified experience, right, through this one interface. So I just have to understand this one interface to be able to manage all my storage systems in the environment. So fear not if you kind of grew up on the Nimble side of things, right? Moving on over to an Alletra MP is very easy because it will become the same management context between both of these systems. And if we go down, we could see how our volumes are being filled up over here. You can also see some virtual machine information down here. I do have my virtualized environment linked into this. If I go over here, we could see some different solutions based on block storage, file storage, or object storage. Again, I just have the block storage piece. Down here with data access, so where I'll set up my hosts, either individual hosts or host groups. We like to manage things through groups, as you'll see as we work with the volume. So we want to group things together and manage them holistically. To do that, you just click the plus sign here. And if you've already zoned out something or have connected your iSCSI interface, it should show up over here. But if it hasn't or you haven't zoned it out yet, you can add it through this context as well. All right, so you'll add hosts and host groups through Data Ops Manager. Now if I go back up and we go into systems here, you can see a variety of the systems that I'm working. I can see that I don't have any updates. If I select the Alletra MP, we get a more in-depth view into this array. Now, one of the nice things I like about working within Data Ops Manager as well as block storage is some of the information I used to have to reach out to InfoSite to get is now at my fingertips within this management interface. So again, we're kind of consolidating down the information. I might have to go into different tools to view into this one location. Over here is where I'd set up that replication set I was talking about a little bit earlier. But we can get performance information, all right, latency, IOPS, throughput, queue length, all kinds of things. We can look at the hardware itself on our Alletra MP. All right, maybe I'll grab this node here. And we can see our system. And we can change the view or look at different things. Right. We get a breadcrumb up here. If I click back over here, it will bring us back to our previous context. But I could keep on moving across. One of the nice things that I like that they've introduced into this environment, all right, so I don't have to go to InfoSite, is called cross-stack, or what some people call cross-stack analytics. So now I can look in here and I get a view into the virtual machines that are running inside my environment. Right. As a matter of fact, I've got a couple virtual machines that are running some benchmarks over here, but if I select one of those, all right, I get visibility into its memory, CPU count, capacity utilization, performance. All right, we're at Typology Insights now. If I go down a little bit, we'll see the end-to-end connectivity of this VM. So here's the VM itself. There's the two virtual hard drives or VMDKs. There's the VM where data storage sits on. The two hosts it can move from since we're using DRS. And the volume on the array it's sitting on as well as the array itself. So it's kind of interesting. This up here is a timeline. So if I want to roll back in time and see if this has changed in any set of the way, right, I could certainly roll that back and look at that. But we could also get capacity information. Right, we could get performance. All right, all at a virtual machine level. It's kind of nice. Again, I need to look into InfoSite to be able to get that in the past, but again, we're aggregating more and more of that information within this environment. All right, so let's go back to our storage. All right, again, now we're looking at the actual storage, the block storage component, where I can see all my volumes. And if you notice, I can't add a volume through this context because that's going to be done through block storage itself. All right, so now I can get the block storage by clicking here, right? But I could also click on the green lake icon up here. Right, go back into data services, right, and then select block storage from this context. So in here I get more information, the volumes I'm managing, the hosts that are out there, the type of workloads that I have that exist as a part of creating a volume. You'll have to assign a workload to it. For example, today I'm going to create some volumes and add them to a file server workload. Right. We can see the capacity. Any new features will show up over here. We can see performance of our individual volumes, IOPS, throughput, all kinds of things. All right, so let's do something. Let's go create a volume inside our environment. So I'm going to go over here. We're going to go down to storage. You can see I have all my volumes across all the arrays that show up over here. All right, I could limit down the information up here. I'm going to click the plus sign up here. All right, I'm going to select my storage tier. We're going to put ours on an Alletra MP based storage. We're going to select the workload. Like I said, I'm going to do a file server. We're going to give our volume a name. So Ingram Micro Volume 1. I'll make one volume, and we'll make this a half a TB. And then I'm going to select it to a host group. Now I have this machine right here, so I'm going to present the volume to that. So let me go dig that out over here. There we go. And then there's a protection policy. This is basically a snapshot schedule. So you could select none and manually create one if you wanted to, or they're giving you kind of serving suggestions here. I'm going to do the daily snapshot, 30-day expiration. It's pretty basic, but you can completely customize it if you want to. I'm going to click continue. Now if I had multiple B10000 based Alletra MPs, it would look at all of those and offer me one based on connectivity, performance, as well as capacity. And if I didn't like that, I could go over here and change that, but I'm fine with this today. I'm going to click continue. All right, now what's going to happen here is there's going to be volume sets. So when we create volumes, if I created multiple volumes, they would be put inside a set. So I manage at a set level. As a matter of fact, even if you create individual volumes, it's going to put them within a set. So we're going to be looking at volume sets as a management context with this. We want to pay attention to what we're managing at, if it's at a set level or a volume level, and that's why I changed that name a little bit so we could follow that a little bit better. We can enable QoS. We're going to tinker with that in a little bit. I just want you to realize that you can enable QoS while you're creating a volume if you wanted to. Down here is our snapshot that we selected, and we'll take it at 1 o'clock. And there's also virtual lock. So I'm going to spend a little time talking about virtual lock when we get into snapshots, because I think it has a little bit more value. Real quick here, if I was to set a virtual lock on this, for whatever amount of days or hours I want, nobody could actually delete this volume. Even the administrator at the highest level of privileges couldn't delete it. Even HP couldn't even delete it. All right, so nobody can delete it. But I'll talk about how that's beneficial when we get the snapshots. Click continue, and then I'm going to click submit. We get a notice about provisioning storage, and we got new data available, so I'm going to click reload. And I'm going to go down here and search my Ingram micro volume. Right, here we can see there's our volume set, and we've got one match out of it, which means there's one volume in there. So if I click on that, we will see my volume within this volume set. Right, over here under protection is a restore point or a snapshot that exists. And then policies are how I'm going to take that snapshot. So this is my scheduled snapshots. I'm going to hit edit over here, right? Hit the little pencil icon, and we can see how my snapshot was initially set up. But you know what? I don't want it on Saturday and Sunday. All right. You know what? As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to do another schedule, and I'm going to take snaps every hour. I'm going to start at midnight. All right, and they're going to expire after day, and I don't want to do them on Saturday and Sunday. All right, so here's virtual lock again. So let's talk a little bit about virtual lock again. So we can set virtual lock on snapshots as well, so nobody can delete this snapshot. Even the administrator with the highest level of privileges can't delete the snapshot. So where is this good for? Well, I would say this is good for protecting against ransomware attacks. Not necessarily you're going to protect against the attack, but as a part of those attacks, generally they'll come in and try to delete your backups, whether it's your traditional backups or your array-based snapshots, because they know if you don't have a recovery point, your likelihood of paying the ransom goes up significantly. Right, so if I was to set this on this snapshot schedule, none of these snapshots would be able to expire until I wanted them to expire, until the virtual lock expired, and then I'd be allowed to be able to blast them away. So this is good because even the bad guys can't even delete your snapshots. Just use this with concern, or watch your storage capacity, because it certainly can take up a lot of storage. So for example, if you have a 5 terabyte volume that's presented and encryption software comes in and encrypts all that data, right, the next snapshot, all that data is going to look new, and it's going to create another 5 terabyte volume. So you want to use that with caution, because it can certainly use a lot of capacity in your environment, but is the easiest way to be able to recover from a ransomware attack. With all that being said, let's move forward. Let me submit. All right, so we added an extra snapshot. What will happen is another snap will be created based on that, and we will see that over here. All right. Now I can manage at the set level, but I can also manage at the individual volume level. Now the set only has 1 volume in it, so that's fine. All right, but here we can again get capacity, performance, protection, and things like that. So protection again is snapshots, and you can see none exist over here. So what I'm going to do at the volume level, I'm going to go over and take a snapshot, and we'll call it Green Lake Snap 1. And then I'll submit that. You can see that the snapshot has been initialized. And if I refresh, we'll see that now I've got a snapshot over here. But if I go back along my breadcrumbs to the volume set and go look in protection, that snap doesn't exist right at the volume set level. Right. So it's something to be aware of. You should understand where you're managing at, if you're managing at a set level or if you're managing at a volume level. All right, so we've created this volume. What does it look like within the local management context? So let me open this up over here. So here we are in the local management for the Alletra MP. All right, this is the actual management IP address. If I click storage, you'll see virtual volume sets, but if I go down a level, you see volumes, and again, we see hosts as well as host sets. So we'll go inside volumes, and I can see my one Ingram Micro Volume 1 that exists here. And if I go into virtual volume sets, we'll see that set 1 exists here. And if I select the set 1, we'll go down. We could see the 1 volume that exists. Right. And then I could see the 2 copies that were, or the 2 snapshots that exist. All right. Again, I don't have that green like snapshot here, but if I go over here and I select the member, so now I'm in the volumes context again, and if I scroll down, we'll see I have 1 copy, and if I view the copy, we can see that green like snap that's over here. So just something to kind of understand, part of this process. Now I can see this volumes and volume sets over here within the CLI. I'm not going to do a lot in the CLI, but I'll just show you a couple things. So if I do a show VV, we will see all the volumes and snaps on this array. So for example, right here would be a volume. Right, it's a thinly provisioned volume, and below are the snapshots that are related to it. Right, here's our Ingram Micro Volume, and there is the snap right here. Right, now if I do a show VV set, this will give me kind of the same information, but like at a set level. So here's my Ingram Micro set. You can see the volume that's in that set. Right, and again, some schedules that are down here. All right, so let's go back inside the local management interface and let's create a volume. All right, how does that look like in the Green Lake context? Does that show? If I click the plus sign over here, we get a create volume message, and basically what this is saying is, hey, you want to create volumes through the virtual volume sets. All right, as a matter of fact, if I click dismiss over here, it just drops me back off at the volumes context. So what I really need to do is go back, go into virtual volume sets, and we'll click the plus sign up here. So we are going to call this Ingram Micro Set 2. Again, we're going to do something simple. We'll just do a file server, and then we'll start adding volumes to this set. So we're going to call this Ingram Micro Volume 2. We'll make the capacity a little bit different than the other system. And then we can click Add. We can add a snapshot schedule if we wanted to. So we'll call this Local Schedule. And we'll do this hourly. And we'll start, I don't know, we'll start 10 minutes after the hour. And we'll click Add. And then I'll click Create. All right, so we could see the Ingram Micro Set 2 over here. And if I back up and I go look inside volumes, we'll see the Ingram Micro Volume 2 right here as well. All right, so does this show up in the GreenLake Data Services Cloud Console? It certainly will. So let's go back to storage. All right, our filter's still in place, but now we can see both of these sets. If I open up the Ingram Micro Set 2, we'll see our one volume underneath. If I look under protection, we'll see the one base snapshot. I go over to policies and we edit this. We can see the snapshot schedule. So certainly, the point here is what you manage in the cloud can be managed locally. What you create locally will show up in the cloud. So pick and choose your management interface and utilize it, because you can certainly move back and forth between these two solutions. Now the last thing I want to show you is we're going to go back to storage. And if I look at this Ingram Micro Set 1, if you remember, I took this volume here and I presented it to this host over here, which is this guy right here. As a matter of fact, I do a rescan. You can see the volume exists down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a benchmarking utility. As a matter of fact, I have this benchmarking utility running on a couple other systems in this environment. I should format this out, but this benchmarking utility works with raw volumes, so that's good. So we're going to fire this up. So this is a little bit of an older benchmarking utility. I like it because it gives me this graphical interface, and if I have it update its information, we could see exactly right here how many IOPS we're getting. We can actually get a lot of information about the system and how it's performing. All right, so this is trying to hammer that storage right now. We're getting about 33K IOPS out of this system, so that's nice. So maybe I didn't want this host to take its lion's share of the performance inside this environment. So what can I do? So if I go back to the Ingram Micro Set 1, or the set itself, I can go over here and edit this volume set. And if you remember, as a part of the volume creation, I said, hey, remember this, we're going to tinker with the quality of service. So I'm going to enable that. You can see we could set quality of service based on a number of factors, but I'm just going to do IOPS, and I'm going to select 1000. And if you remember, the system is doing about 35K IOPS now, but if I submit, you can see the update volume has been initialized. Then if I go back down to the system itself, you can see that we've been reduced down to 1000 IOPS. All right, so that's nice. Some people do chargeback based on this, so they not only do chargeback based on the amount of space, the amount of terabytes that somebody's using, but also based on the level of performance that they can expect. I also see people use this. Maybe they've got a crazy database that's sucking the life out of their storage system. They want to reel that in a little bit. This feature gives you the ability to be able to do that, be able to manage at a greater level. All right, so that's managing an Alletra MP B10000 based system through the Data Services Cloud Console, as well as a local, and we did a little bit with the CLI. I hope you found this video informative, and please stay tuned for more videos.